Hello everyone, I'm T Royster with blackhairgrowth.biz. That's www.black.biz. blackhairgrowth.biz. I just wanted to talk to you guys real quick about basically how my hair growth oil was created and how it was formulated. It's also going to be on the website pretty soon. The website is under construction and it'll have the history of it and a little information, but I'll go ahead and just tell you a little bit in detail. First of all, this oil is not something that was meant to be sold. I'm just going to be honest. It's not something that I said, hey, I'm going to create this, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money and, just go into business. No, it wasn't supposed to happen like that. And the reason why I say that is because this is something that was my own little secret. I hate to say it like that, but it was my own little secret. My own little personal formula that I used on my hair to give it that shine, to help it to grow. Right now I'm in the transitioning stage where I'm no longer using a relaxer. I'm doing what we call a Texlax. And a Texlax is when you use a texturizer. The texturizer that I use is the Just For Me hair softener, not the relaxer, because there is a relaxer also. But it is a hair softener, and it's something that a good friend told me about. And at first I was like, well, should I try it? Yeah, this sounds like a good idea. And I saw all these little kids on the box, and I said, well, it's probably something that's pretty mild if it's formulated for children. And it may be somewhat of a relaxer a little bit, but it's probably a really mild one because it will not totally straighten your hair. It's just gonna knock some of the curls out of it or some of the tangleness out of it. And when people see my hair, and it's in a ponytail right now so you can't really see it, it's curled up, and that's because I've been using a softener where it'll keep a natural curl pattern, and it doesn't matter what kind of hair you have, it's gonna soften it up. And if you have what we call coarse hair, a medium hair, a fine hair, that's just gonna determine what type of curl pattern you have or how tight the curl is. But the Just For Me is going to loosen it up and make it softer and more manageable where you can comb through it, because my hair was very tangled. And people would look at my hair and say, oh, you just have good hair. You don't know the half of the story. When my hair doesn't have any relaxer in it, or it starts transitioning, because I don't think I've ever, since I was probably 10 or something, gone without any relaxer, because I was one of those kids with the little curly afro and it was pretty, but if you wait until it dries, oh my God, it was just like matted up, tangled. So for me, I had to find stuff that would soften it. And when this oil was created, I noticed that it accelerated the growth in my hair and it made it grow faster. Not only did it make it grow faster, it gave it a better shine where I could put it on my hair and it made it look kind of wet because it moisturized it very well. And anybody that knows anything about no longer putting relaxers in your hair, you have to put the moisture back in it. You have to be careful about the type of shampoos that you use that may strip it or that may make it more tangled or make the texture a little more what I call like a wire, wiry. Just mat it up. That may not be the proper terminology to use, but that's what I call it. So back to the history of the oil. I wanted something that would work pretty good in my hair and soften it and give it shine, and this was the only thing that I found that would help me. It even helped a little bit, when I would try to comb it out, it wasn't as tangled. I would try other oil sheens and different things when I would wash my hair, and it just didn't give me the shine that I wanted. So I tried using this oil, and I put a little bit in the palm of my hand. I would rub it together, just like this. After I put a little bit in my hand, probably like a dime or nickel size in my hand, and I would just rub a little bit on that side of my hair, and then I'd do the other side and I'd rub a little bit on that side, and I just noticed that it would give it a little bit more shine. And because I didn't put too much in my hand, it wasn't too much oil. It was just a little bit. And the way that I came upon the recipe for the oil is something that I consider very mystical but yet divine. It's not something I can take the credit for and say, I just came up with this, out of the blue. That's not what happened, guys. What happened was one night I was asleep back in 2005. And just like I'm putting on my website under the history, I'm a dreamer. I'm a person that I dream a lot. People that are close to me, a lot of times I would dream things about them and they would come true. Even as a child, I would dream, a lot of my family members' death before it happened. And I realized that this was either a warning or wisdom. Those were one of the two that my dreams would come to me for. Nobody has to believe the story. It didn't have to make sense, but it's true. That's all I can do is tell you the truth. So this particular night, I was dreaming. And when I was dreaming, I started seeing cursive writing in different colors, as if a letter being written to me. And this was like the second or third time that this happened. So what I did is I said, let me kind of see if I can zoom in a little bit in my dream and try to see if I can see it. You're not totally in control when you're dreaming. So you can't just, say, hey, let me just see very clearly what I'm looking at. But you can try your best to focus. You can try. Back with part 2 of my story. Sorry about that. I had to take a little bit of an intermission. But back to what I was saying, which is in my dreams, I started seeing this cursive writing. And with this cursive writing, I started seeing the names of different ingredients. And they were sort of just outlined one after the other. And different messages started coming to me in my dream. So when I woke up the next day, I wrote them down real quick so that I wouldn't forget them, because a lot of times I dream things, but I may not remember exactly what I dreamed. So I started writing the ingredients down and researching them one by one. I started buying books that would help me. I started going online. I started typing in, what uses it has for the skin, for the body, for the hair. And then I enrolled in a holistic institute where I started learning more about different essential oils and elements of the earth, and just things that I could use that have been used since ancient times, since 2000 BC. Things that we weren't educated about because it was beyond the history that we know now. And those type of things always amaze me. It always amazed me at things that happened long before what we read now. Long before, say for example, the Bible that I read, that's written, to my understanding, 1611. I like to study things that happened before then, even though, it may be a little bit out of the time zone now. But I took a great interest in it, and I started learning things, and then I got my certification in holistic therapy. And at the time, I was having a lot of back pain. So I even learned how to create a lotion that helped relax the muscles in my back, and it would help me to go to sleep at night. My daughter would rub it on my back for me because I was in so much pain. I found out that I was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease. It's abbreviated DDD. And just recently, 3 weeks ago, I ended up having a back surgery. So this was from prolonged pain that I had gone through, where it got to its final stage, and it was just really, really bad. So to make a long story short, that's where the recipe came from. That's how it was developed. And to me, it was divinely inspired. I take no credit for it. I give God all the credit. And it was not something that I was going to tell anybody about. I used it myself. Sometimes people would ask me what I use in my hair, and I say I only use my own oil, nobody else's. And that's true. I've done that for 5 years now. So after that, just recently, I mentioned it. I started talking about Texlaxing on Facebook, which is using a texturizer, and I said I don't use my own oil. And people were asking questions, well, where do you get this oil from, or how do I buy it? And that's where it all began. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been so supportive. Again, it's not something that I was trying to sell. It was my ancient secret. That's why it's called Ancient Secrets. This was something that was given to me in a dream by God. I started researching it. I got certified in it, again, in holistic therapy. I started breaking down every single ingredient, and it's all in my head. I've never written it down. It's just something I've prayed about. I used it on myself. I used it on my daughter, and it's been about 5 years now. And I just enjoy what it does for my hair. So I'll do another video on how you actually use the oil, which is very, very simple, and also what I call the baggy method to preserve the moisture within your hair. So just stay tuned. Once again, I thank everybody that's been supportive and everybody in the future that's going to be supportive. I hope that you enjoy it. It kind of feels a little awkward to let go of my secrets that I've been holding on to for all these years, and people, may have felt like, oh, her hair is just so beautiful. I did have a little bit of help. It was the oil, I'm not going to lie. It has helped me tremendously, and I guess I just kept it to myself. Sorry, you guys, for being so selfish. But that's the truth. I'm just being honest. So, today, I give it to you. I share it with the world. Be blessed.